Hey everyone, welcome to the first live stream of 2024. I'm really excited to get into it today. I hope you guys are excited to join us. Make sure you guys ask your questions in the chat. Today is Ask Me Anything. I know a lot of times the end of our live streams kind of transition into that kind of situation anyway, but we thought we'd start 2024 out by just kind of answering whatever burning questions you guys have. Also do us a favor and in the chat, let us know where you're watching from. And we got different platforms. I know we're streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube all together today. So just put your comments down below and they will show up in the feed here. So let us know where you're watching from. Say hello. And but while we're waiting for people to kind of roll in, let's start by talking about a video that just came out a couple days ago. Yeah, I think it was last week sometime, about our analysis of how much it costs to print on the Mamaki. And that video has been a big deal for a lot of folks because we get that question all the time is like, how much does it cost to print something? Well, it depends. Something like this costs different than a graphic like this, right? It just depends on the ink coverage. So what we did in that video is we kind of try to take an average. And for the most part, we think probably in that 60% range of coverage. So how much ink is used in that square footage or square inch space. We chose to roughly go about 60. I think it was 64% in the video. And basically what that means is those calculated numbers, if you're printing a graphic that has even less coverage, like this would probably only be in like my guess would be 30% ink coverage range. That means your cost is actually going to be half of what we calculated in that video. But we wanted to give you guys a good ballpark so that if you've got customers coming to you and they just need a graphic printed, you're like, how much should I be charging for, or how much does this cost me? The video is not how much you guys should charge. The video is very much how much it's going to cost you guys for materials. I want to make that very clear because if you watch that video, you see there's a ton of margin in DTF printing. I know like a 10 by 10 graphic, depending on where you look online, if they're ordering only a couple, usually a 10 by 10 graphic costs upwards of $8 to print. Anywhere between kind of 5 and 8 is the range that we see. So you see there's a lot of margin and opportunity for good profitability, even with the Mamaki, with its ink that is a little more expensive than maybe the traditional Chinese inks. So if you haven't had a chance, go check out that video. It's super helpful to let you guys kind of know a ballpark number of what those costs are to print. We also delve in a little bit more to the savings by doing variable white underbase and the savings for doing color knockout. So we kind of tried to hit a couple of topics on that one video about overall costs. So what do we got going on? Who's watching from where? Ooh, we got Thor from Norway. Nice. I don't know if we've had anybody watch from Scandinavia before, so welcome, Thor. We got Levine, Arizona. That's their backyard, not too far away. Oklahoma, Idaho, Colorado. Let's go. India. What time is it in India right now? It's probably either pretty late or pretty early. So talking about that video is definitely one of the top questions we get is how much does it cost to print on our printers? And the way that we've adjusted things, we actually sell our film for the Mamaki printer a little bit cheaper to kind of offset the cost of the ink for you guys. So the calculation for how much it costs per square inch to print is pretty close to the same for both the Chinese machines as well as the new Mamaki. So that's a big question we get a lot. Another question we get all the time is about color. I know one of our earlier live streams, I think it was the last one we did, we talked about color. And definitely that is a spot for a lot of DTF producers that there's a bunch of different ways to attack it. But the thing you need to know, especially if you're coming from screen printing, is that when somebody comes asking you to match a Pantone color or something like that, CMYK printing, which is what DTF is, but really any digital printing, can only reproduce about 70%, which is the majority. I mean, that's not only, but can reproduce 70% of the Pantone colors. There are 30% that just aren't replicatable using just cyan, magenta, and yellow, because Pantone's used The Pantone matching system uses 13 base pigments. So they have a lot more options and opportunities. So if you're coming from screen printing or you do screen printing and you're also trying to maybe add DTF, you may have some struggles with reproducing some colors. We are working on some videos to help you guys dial some of those things in to reproduce a color consistently, like let's say it's an athletic gold or a specific blue for maybe university that you have the opportunity to work with. So let's see, I saw a couple questions already come in, so let's hit that first one. Perfect. Is it compulsory to have a humidifier? Yes. Here's the deal. Every one of these printers, literally all printers prefer a specific kind of climate environment. But what we've found with especially the earlier stages of DTF is that the systems, the printers were really finicky. So you really want your humidity between 40 and 60%. If it's drier than 40%, you are going to have issues with banding on your prints where kind of you get these little kind of almost like faded-ish lines. Instead of a large block of color, there's like stripes in it almost. That's banding. Also, it can cause clogs on the print head. If the humidity is too much, it can cause the adhesive powder to clump up. It can also cause issues with the adhesive powder sticking in other places. And it can also affect the curing. So it is important that your humidity is between that 40 to 60%. Now, with the new Mamaki, we've not noticed it to be quite as temperamental maybe as some of the older machines, but we still get it sometimes when it gets, I mean, we're in Arizona and it's often like in the teens for humidity, like 12% humidity is not abnormal around here. So we definitely have a humidifier in our showroom, and the printers will, that's going to be your first line of defense. Anytime you have an issue with the quality of things coming out, whether it's in how it's printing, how it's curing, we're always going to ask, is your room between 70 and 75 degrees? Is it 40 to 60% humidity? So humidifier is a big deal. One other note on the humidifier is make sure you're using one that doesn't produce visible water droplets. There's a lot of mister type humidifier systems. And what we've found is sometimes, even if you use distilled water, it can still pick up dust particles and stuff like that in the air and lays it down on stuff. So you end up getting this like kind of film. So I would use a humidifier that you don't see visible water droplets kind of coming out of it. So we use the evap cooler style where it kind of pours water over a kind of a cardboard filter mesh, and then the air gets pulled through that, and that's how it moisturizes the air. So that's the kind that we recommend. You can get them on Amazon, Home Depot, anything like that. Just make sure with anything climate related that you guys make sure you size it for slightly bigger than the room you're in. So if you're in 1,000 square foot space, don't get an AC or an evap cooler that's set for 1,000 square feet. It will struggle. It just, it's because it's the way that they rate those machines. So what I would suggest is add 20% and then go from there. That's what I would say for humidity. All right, what's the next question we got? What film is the Mamaki DTF required to use? So you can use any DTF film. There's a lot of different kinds out there. I think we're the only company that offers a 32-inch wide film to take full advantage of the full Mamaki print area. But really, it should work with any kind of DTF film. Now, there's definitely varying qualities of DTF film. So don't just grab a cheap film you can find just anywhere and stick it in there. It might not work great right off the bat. I know when we install and ship out our Mamaki printers, they come with profiles that we've built specifically for our V2 hot peel film, which is our 32-inch version. So that's what we use, but you can use anything. You can use a glitter film, you can use a glow film. Just be aware you're gonna have to address your ink levels because different films have different ink absorbing layers, and you just want to try to make sure that that's dialed in. So if you try a different film and it looks horrible, it's not the printer, it's probably the film just isn't, you haven't balanced out your ink levels for your film. So, all right, do we got another question? There's a lot of stuff flying in. I didn't catch it all, team. So again, continue to ask any questions you've got. Ooh, we got Bronx, New York. Nice. All right, it looks like we got a question from Thor up in Norway. I observed that you can use CAD-Link for the Mamaki. What profile do you use out of the box for that software? So Thor, we have a profile we've built here in-house for the V2, that 32-inch film that we use. And that's the default profile that we're suggesting people use. Obviously, it's important, I think, that you build your own profiles for your business, your workflow, your kind of your most common use cases. But yeah, we've got a profile that we've got built out for our film. So if you don't have access to that same film, we do have the profiles available for you, Thor. So if you just drop me an email, I can get that to you. But if you don't have the V2 film that we use, you might have some struggles with it. So if Thor, if you want to just drop me an email, I can definitely get you some of our default profiles. There's my email, Thor. Jeremy, DTF Superstore. By the way, while 1 second before we move on to the next one, if anybody's planning on being Impressions in LA next week, drop a little note in the chat. I am going to be there. DTF Superstore is going to have a booth. I'll be there. I'll be there Friday and Saturday, and we're planning on doing some education training sessions at our booth. So keep an eye out for some of that. We'll post that on our Instagram and Facebook, so you guys know when that's happening. But if you're going to come to Impressions, make sure you come out and say hey. Sweet. Quick question. Can the Mongoose One dryer shaker be used with the Roadrunner forehead printer? Maybe. So here's the issue. That forehead Roadrunner prints really fast, like crazy fast. And the Roadrunner dryer, or the dryer we have partnering with the Roadrunner, is a longer tunnel, so it spends more time in that oven, because you could bump the temp up a bit on the Mongoose One dryer, but what you're going to run the risk of is over curing or burning or scorching, having problems with that. So I would not recommend it. In a pinch, you could probably make it work, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend using that, just because the tunnel for the oven is so much shorter and it needs to be longer, because that Roadrunner, I mean, that Roadrunner prints so fast. It's kind of ridiculous. So I hope that answered that question. See you tomorrow for boot camp. Awesome. Yeah, we've got boot camp happening this week. We're still doing them kind of once a month. If you guys are interested, it's where we cover everything. So I know at this coming boot camp that's happening this week, well, tomorrow, we've got folks that have Mamakis. We have folks that have our Roadrunner. We also have some folks that have Oddly printers that we don't carry. And somebody's coming that uses a DTG machine they're using for DTF. We're going to cover the bases on all that. So all the folks that come to boot camp are going to leave with a better base knowledge, be able to create better DTF shirts, garments, transfers, like be able to knock it out of the park. I think that it is definitely, especially how young our technology is, there's a lot of people out there that are doing it, but maybe not doing it great. We want to have you come to boot camp and be able to do it great, so that people are talking about what you're doing. You're getting more business because the quality of the DTF transfers you're producing are amazing. Plus, we do a lot of like maintenance, showing you how to do stuff, because we want to help alleviate some of the headaches that you have from producing DTF. So, I'm very much looking forward to see you guys coming from Atlanta. I tell you what, it's not so bad coming this direction. When I go east, it's hard, man, because I guess it's only 2 hours off right now, but getting up a couple extra hours early, that's crazy. But not Impressions, but the AG show, sure. So sorry, I'm popping that one up, guys. So yeah, if you guys are coming, maybe you're not doing Impressions, because Impressions is everything. Impressions in Long Beach is embroidery, screen printing, DTG, GTF. It's all the garment decorating stuff. So it's a big show. However, DTF Expo in Phoenix in February is just about DTF. So we're really excited to be a part of that too. So definitely come check us out there. Let's see, what do we got for another question? How much longer will you support other brands DTF printers you sell before you go straight to Maki? So we plan to support all of the stuff we've sold. So we have a big bank of parts. We have really good relationships with all of those print manufacturers. So we used to sell Oddly way back in the day, a couple of years ago. Way back in the day, a couple of years, whatever. But early on when we were doing DTF, it was actually 2020, so that was like 4 years ago. Does anybody else feel like that was really 4 years ago? But we have good relationships with those manufacturers still, so we are still carrying the parts for them. We have, I can walk past our shelves and I see control boards, motors, pumps, stuff like that for Oddlies, for Oryx, for kind of pretty much everything we've carried. So we do plan to continue to support our folks. We're not going to leave you high and dry because we are shifting heavily to Mamaki, and there's a lot of good reasons why. But we will still continue support. So don't feel like because we're pushing so heavy with Mamaki that we aren't going to support you guys with some of the older Chinese machines you have. So we will 100% be behind you. We will have parts for you for those printers if you need to swap them out, and we will continue to carry the ink and film and all that kind of stuff. And we're testing out some new inks because we think we might be able to get some better colors even from the Chinese machines with some newer inks we're testing out. So we're definitely not ignoring the Chinese stuff. We just feel like the Mamaki has been such a monumental shift in a positive direction that that's kind of where we're steering most people that are buying new machines. But yes, we will continue to support as long as humanly possible. If printing only white for black garments, what % of white do you use? Well, if you set up your print mode, there's actually in CADLink there's test swatches, or it's called the Max White Ink Wizard, I believe. And I've only got a Mac here. Otherwise, I'd show you on a PC, but I don't have my PC hooked up. But if in CADLink, if you go to Q's, I believe it's Q's, and then down below it says Max White Ink Wizard. What that will do is that will print up. You can either use your graphic or a default graphic, and it will print it up with different white ink levels. And you can print all of them, press them, and see where that white starts to fade. And wherever that white starts to fade, use that next number up from it. So let's say you printed like 6 images. They were 100, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50. You would basically press them on a shirt, look at them and say, 100 looks fine, 90 looks fine, 80 looks fine. 70 kind of dims a little bit. So then you know you want to use 80%. So I would give you a specific number, except every machine is different, which is why it's important to use that Max White Ink Wizard in CADLink so that you can see visually a couple different ones with different options, and then you can choose from there. So that's what I would do. I would use that White Ink Wizard. Again, go to Q's in CADLink, and then click on Max White Ink Wizard, and then use either the default graphic or the graphic you're going to use, and it'll print up those options, and that is how you can choose how much white ink you need to use for that black shirt. I hope that helps. Just got my printer getting set up today. Got a bad damper, kind of sad, but still excited. Congratulations. Yes, sometimes that can happen. Definitely, if you got it from us, reach out to tech support if you haven't already. You can go to our website. You can either call in or email. I think there's also a spot for support ticket too. So definitely, that's exciting. You got a printer. I'm excited for you to get going on it. I know anytime I get something new, I'm like really excited to get my hands and like start playing with it. So I hope you are too. I have an Oddly dual head 3200. What's the best video I can watch to dial in my alignments and colors? So dialing in your colors, that's I would, if you're using CADLink, I would use the NYX color scanner with the profiling bundle to dial in those colors to get it profiled properly. When it comes to aligning, did you buy it from us? if you bought the Oddly printer from us, we do have some resources for you guys. If you did not, we don't have a lot of stuff for aligning and things like that. We have our DTF University, which is a resource we have for our customers that purchase the printers from us. Yeah, touch base with us. We're working on some other possibilities for when folks haven't purchased their printer from us. Yeah, so if you, the other thing on colors, on trying to dial in your colors, is I would print a color swatch shirt and use that to help people pick colors if that's something you're struggling with. Like if somebody's like, I want a red, and you print the red that they sent you and it doesn't quite look right. If you use a color swatch shirt, basically just a shirt that you've printed a whole bunch of colors on, they can pick out that color, and then you can just eyedropper that color from that file to create the right color for them. That's really the kind of the easiest way, or the most entry level way. I definitely think profiling the machine is important. It'll just help you have less of those kind of hiccups as you're producing stuff. So, is there such a thing as low volume DTF printing? I hate waiting to send my designs out and waiting to have and not having any control over printer settings. There are some like desktop type machines. We don't sell them because they just have too many maintenance issues, isn't the right word, but we didn't feel like we could set you guys up for success with those machines because of how many maintenance issues and potential problems. Because especially with those desktop machines, if you don't run them every single day, at least a little bit every single day, the problems kind of start to compound on themselves. So there's not really a great option for a onesie twosie print every once in a while, especially in like a smaller kind of maybe you're just using a bedroom in your house and kind of a smaller Etsy shop situation. However, if you guys find, like, I would encourage you to reach out to maybe not the big transfer sellers, but maybe somebody that's in your area, maybe someone that doesn't do major volume, but a little bit smaller volume. You might be able to connect with them, especially if they've gone through our boot camp, or they have the Mamaki and they've gone through our boot camp. Those are some of the best people to work with, for sure. But I would connect with someone that you feel like you have maybe a little more relationship with, versus just popping online and filling out a big gang sheet and sending it off. Ultimately, you just want to work with someone that's got things dialed in a certain way, or that can work with you to kind of customize things. So that's why I think maybe a little bit like a medium-sized producer might be best if you're looking for just a couple one-off things. I really think for those of you that like are looking to maybe add DTF to some stuff, like maybe in your Etsy shop, I think it's a good idea to purchase transfers first from someone until you expand enough to be able to get something a little more commercial sized. And again, the reason why we push the Mamaki so much is because it's got none of those headaches, especially from those desktop machines. It's a totally different ball game completely. So, another thing real quick, back on that question about when you're looking for somebody to work with, DTFprinting.com is an industry site that has a directory of people that produce DTF stuff. So if you're looking for someone that's closer to you that can maybe print transfers for you, I know there's a way to punch in like your zip code on that. So if you go to DTFprinting.com, it's kind of an industry-wide site. If you guys are DTF producers, you can also have your company on there so people can find you. So really, it's a great resource for you guys to connect with people that are nearby. So you're not like, let's say you're in California, you're not feeling like you have to order from Texas or something like that. You might be able to find somebody who's nearby. Hello, honey. My wife threatened to ask, and she's like, "Oh, you're doing an Ask Me Anything?" I'm waiting for the uncomfortable questions. Anyway, next question. Hi, honey. Thanks for watching. What causes grainy prints on certain colors? That is a great question. and a pain in the butt. No, so some colors come out a little bit grainy, and it is a multitude of reasons why that can happen. To print a color that is outside of the gamut. Do we lose something? Sorry. Cool, cool. My screen froze, so I was like, "Oh no." Um, so the graininess sometimes happens because it's a color that's a little bit outside of the gamut for CMYK. Some of that can be alleviated by a different ink set, like at least with the Chinese machines, there's a ton of different ink options out there. But you'll notice that some of them, the cyan pigment is different, and so sometimes you can address it that way. For the most part, that graininess is coming from just trying to push outside of that color gamut. And I know we did a couple episodes ago, we were playing around with a microscope on some of our prints, and we were realizing that once you get in really close, what looks like a solid color is just literally a combination of cyan, magenta, yellow in differing patterns and volumes. So I think there's definitely maybe some spray pattern from the print head that can cause some of that graininess sometimes. But what I would encourage you to do is if you are getting graininess on a specific color, you might try printing some different slight variations of that color, like as color swatches, and see if those other colors come out any better but still look similar to the original color. I hope that makes sense what I just said. Yeah, so if you get a grainy one, try printing some stuff that's close to it and see if it comes out less grainy and still close to the color you were looking for, and maybe that's a way to get rid of some of that graininess. Also, if it's something you print all the time, like it's not like, oh, this one order looks grainy, but a lot of your stuff, if you have a Chinese machine, I would encourage you to try maybe a different ink set. Um, Obviously, the Mamaki, we're locked in with that particular ink set that is manufactured by Mamaki. But we don't tend to have as much graininess issues with the Mamaki as some of the Chinese machines had. What's the best way to get all 5 of my printers color matching each other? A lot of work. No. So Eli, what printers do you have? Like that's going to be the big first question is what printers do you have? While you're answering that, if you can monitor the chat and find out when that one comes up. But the matching 5 printers is, especially with the Chinese machines, can be a little bit difficult because even if they're the exact same model, um, there's enough variance in kind of the margins for production with those Chinese machines that from one to the other, you can't necessarily just grab this profile and stick it on there and have it work perfectly. So if you have 5 Chinese machines and you're trying to have them all looking exactly the same, you're going to need to use either the NIX color scanner or some kind of color scanner ICC profiling option and profile each machine individually to build out that profile. That should give you consistent result across all 5 of your machines. So that's going to be my advice is at the very least do a NIX color scanner, NIX color profiling. But if you want to go super deep, you can do a full ICC color profile, but that will take you a lot of time. I will be totally honest with you. The NIX color scanner, that profiling takes me about 40 minutes, maybe an hour. The first time you do it, most people take about 2 to 2.5 hours. So basically take 2 hours times 5. So you're going to spend at least 10 hours getting those 5 machines dialed into each other. Thank you, Jesus. I appreciate it. All right, there was one that popped up. Yeah, there we go. Solid cyan, solid magenta are main culprits. Yeah. We have definitely found that to be the case as well. Cyan is definitely a tricky one. And if you watched our color live stream, part of that is because that teal blue area is, if you look at the visible color gamut, it's the teal blues are like way far out from where the CMYK gamut is. So that is notoriously an issue. That's actually one of the reasons we're testing some ink right now. that seems to have better cyan. And it really, black and yellow, for whatever reason, those don't tend to change much. But yeah, the cyan and magenta, those are the two that seem to be the most temperamental. And so, yeah, so we're trying a couple new ink sets that we think, initial testings will look good, that the cyan looks a lot better, and we're getting a little bit better blues and stuff like that out of it. So 2 mongoose, 2, 1 auric, 1 mongoose, 1 and a raptor 2. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to tell you to do, Eli. Get that NYX color scanner, color sensor. Get the NYX color profiling add-on for CADLink, and then profile each machine. Like I said, it's going to be tedious, but if you go through that process, you should be able to get pretty darn close to perfect results between those 5 machines. For if you printed this image on all 5 machines, they should look the same. So, I mean, there might be some variances a little bit if like the spray pattern's a little different, or if it's like we were talking earlier about the graininess, you might have some temperamental things there. But doing the NYX color scanner or sensor with the NYX profiling add-on on CADLink, profile all 5 of them, that should get you where you need to be, to where you can print on any machine with the same results. All right. CMYK 11/16 inch print size dark garment shirt. How much would you charge for a single t-shirt? I'll pull that back up so I can see it. Sorry, guys. 11 by 16 inch print. Get out my calculator. 11 by 16. It's 176 square inches. That is mighty close, team. Nobody wants to be that close to my face. Whew, that was terrifying. All I saw, I have a monitor down here, and all I saw was my face. Oh, terrifying. Okay, anyway, sorry. So 176 square inches, and I know that ballpark for 60% coverage, that is a cost of $0.0069 per square inch. So the cost to print that 11 by 16 graphic should be in the ballpark of $1.24 to print it. So that's your materials cost. Sorry. That's your materials cost. So $1.21. So basically, you can probably, you want to figure in your margins, obviously, and your cost for labor and things like that. But I would consider the transfer to cost somewhere in the range of $5 to $6 retail. And shirt for 10 to 12 bucks. Here's the thing. When it comes to pricing, guys, you got to do what's comfortable for you and what feels good for you. Because I've had people that I'm like, you're selling t-shirts how cheap now? And then other places where it's like, that's a lot. So I mean, reasonably, your costs for that shirt is going to be maybe $2, $3 overall once you add all your labor and stuff. Those are going to be your costs, and your shirt, depending on what shirt you buy from your supplier, a few bucks. So you're probably going to be $5 to $6 into a shirt, then just tack on your margin on top of that. That would be my best guess. But the cost of printing an 11 by 16 graphic will be about $1.21. So I hope that answers that question. But like I said, ultimately, when it comes to pricing, you guys are going to be the ones that have a better idea of that, because we don't produce, what we produce here is just for our videos. That's all we do. Nobody here is selling and making a bunch of money selling t-shirts. Why does my PS software not allow me to choose the grayscale option? It tells me I have to rasterize, then choose black and white. Oh, Photoshop. So I'm like, pull that question back up. Sorry, guys. I need to reread it again. Not allow me to choose the grayscale option. It tells me I have to rasterize, then choose black and white levels. I'm guessing, Lisa, you're trying to halftone. Yeah, perfect. So I'm not sure why it's not letting you choose the grayscale option. Let's pull up something over here. Sorry, team. Okay, I'm going to pull up this JPEG real quick. And then image mode, grayscale's there. Let me see. I'm gonna try something to see if I can break mine. Okay, image mode, grayscale. So Lisa, is the grayscale grayed out? Because I'm not sure what would cause it to gray out. Came in as a smart object. Probably why. Let's make it a smart object and see what it does. Let me give me 1 second. I'm going to delete these other layers and see if that changes it. Yeah, sometimes stuff can get a little finicky. Nice thing about Photoshop is there's a lot of resources out there. Yeah, I'm not sure why it would not be letting you go to grayscale. I've not run across that before. I mean, always when you go to grayscale, it always asks you if you want to flatten it. Changing modes, is this what you were seeing, Lisa? Changing modes can affect the appearance of smart objects. Rasterize smart object before mode change. So if that's what you're seeing, yeah, I would just click rasterize because that's what needs to happen to it before it goes into that grayscale, so you can start doing the halftoning stuff. So my guess is that might, but not being able to select the grayscale, I would try to maybe Google. Let's see, it gives me yes. Okay. So yeah, so basically, yeah, you are going to rasterize that before you go to it, and that's because it is a smart object. And in Photoshop, smart objects just allow you to kind of continuously manipulate stuff. If you have a rasterized layer and you try to adjust your levels, you can't go back and tweak it later. So that's why smart objects are really great from that standpoint. But when you are going to do the halftoning, it will make you rasterize it. But when I continue with your instructions, I can't. So Lisa, do me a favor, because we actually we're working on a project with this halftone thing, and so when people have issues with the workflow that we created, I'd love to know like what those problems are. So Lisa, do me a favor and give me a couple of screenshots of what's going on with it, and maybe send me your original file. Email it to me, Jeremy DTF Superstore. And I will try to take a look at that and see if I can figure out maybe what's going on with it. Because again, we're trying to build out some resources for you guys for Photoshop, and sometimes we just don't have an issue with it. And so, Lisa, I hope I can figure out what your issue is and address it, and maybe figure out a workaround or why that was going on. So cool. Good questions. What else do we got? Do we got anything? Have I tapped out the questions from people? And for those of you wondering, yes, this is the water bottle that we made with DTF. And yes, it's holding up quite well. I use it pretty much every day. Some days I forget to bring it in, but it is holding up super well. I'm actually really super stoked on it. So eventually we'll come out with a video showing you guys exactly how we pulled this off. That still drives me nuts. There's a little like kind of seamish there, but yeah, that's you can see right there. Yeah. Right there is a spot where I dropped it on the ground. It nicked the clear coat a little bit. But other than that, it's like holding up so well. I'm so stoked. And now that I've been using it for a while, the next step is to throw it in the dishwasher. I am going to put it in the dishwasher and see what happens to it. It might destroy all of it and make me sad, but I want to know for sure. So when we make the video to show you guys how to do this, I want to make sure that we know what its durability limits are, so we can tell you guys what to do or not to do. All right. Well, I hope I answered you guys' questions. If you guys are watching this after the live stream, feel free to continue to put your questions in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Like we mentioned earlier, we do have boot camp. I do have boot camp coming up this week. So literally I teach all day long, Thursday and Friday. So we might not get the questions till next week, but definitely drop us a note. We want to be a resource for you guys. We want to help you out. And also, honestly, guys, when you have questions, it helps us create more video content. So your questions help us out a ton because we know you guys give us the questions that people in the industry are asking. And we really want to be a major resource, not just for our customers that buy our printers. Like, obviously, we got tech support for that, but we also want to help everybody. We want to help this industry out because I think the better that everybody's doing DTF in this industry, the more direct-to-film is going to grow and the more that we're going to grow as a company. So that's really our attitude. We want to help you guys out as much as we can. And so that's what we're here for. So feel free to continue to ask questions. We'll either answer them in the comments or we'll make a video about how to do it. So if there's something you guys would like us to do on a live stream or some topic you'd like us to cover on a live stream, leave it there too. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Let's see. Yes, DTF Master Graphics new NYC. DTF is definitely growing big time. It is exciting to be on the front edge of a new technology that is definitely gaining some ground. So it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. If you guys are going to be in Long Beach, come see me and the rest of the crew at the DTF Superstore booth. And that'll be it for this week. We'll see you guys again in 2 weeks for another live stream.